Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video we have the set bonuses being released for the first tier in Dragonflight. We'll be talking about the Retribution Paladin set bonus specifically. I've calmed down a little bit. It's only been out here for a little bit, this post, but I've already calmed down. I'm not as angry, but people are not going to like this set bonus, suffice to say. It's important to read through the top part because that is what allowed me to calm down a little bit. We set a few goals for this round of class sets. First and foremost, these class set bonuses are not as complex as the effects of 9.2. The new talent trees have resulted in a lot of changes in classes in Dragonflight, and we want you to be able to play those classes without class sets that significantly change your rotations or resource economies. That's not to say we won't make more complex or rotationally impactful class sets in the future, but you'll find that these bonuses generally take a light touch on features like resource generation and cooldown manipulation. Another goal that came from wanting y'all to have a chance to get familiar with Dragonflight new classes is that we want the class sets to have minimal impact on your talent choices. So, don't even have to really read anymore. Essentially, they try to make these things really simple, not mess with your rotation, not mess with anything. Okay? And if you look through other specs and classes, tier set bonuses, they're very similar to Rets in many ways. Ret is just going to be not liked for one specific reason, and probably rightfully so. So let's go ahead and go down to the, I went past it, Ret Paladin tier sets. 2-set bonus. Blade of Justice and Judgment grant Crusader's strength. So you're just going to get this passively. That's not a big deal. Increases the damage of your next Crusader's strike or Consecrate by 100%, stacking up to 2. Okay, so that's the one that people really are not going to like, okay? Because Consecration is that's the real in Crusader Strike, which is our worst ability. So it's going to increase it by a lot, stacking up to 2. So what's going to happen is I assume, I guess I've never really compared the two, but I assume Consecrate with the buffs in Dragonflight does more than Crusader Strike. So you're going to want this to be Consecrate almost all the time. Biggest issue is, if you're in a raid, the Consecrate does much more damage, but the boss moves. And now he's not in your Consecrate anymore. That's a huge issue, for sure. So then at that point, you then have to try to focus on using your Crusader Strike to do it. This is also, this particular first one does kind of go against their idea that it's not less complex or whatever, right? Not that this is complex, but you have to actively choose, is the boss moving or is the pole moving? And I'm using Crusader Strike. Or is it standing still and I'm using Consecrate? So that is like an active choice you have to make in the mid fight, based upon, what the pole is doing. Set bonus: when you consume the Crusader Strength, so this stacks up to 2 times. The damage of your next blade is increased by 50% for each stack of Crusader Strength confirmed, so up to 100%. Now again, this kind of might go against what they're saying because Blade of Justice can be buffed significantly in the talents. So with the 4-set bonus, will that make you lean towards taking the Blade of Justice talents on the right side of the... I can just pull this up, I guess. The tier set person is not in the game yet. It says the next beta build, I believe. So I can't check it out in the game right now. But with the Blade of Justice, are we going to want Expurg? Are we going to want Sealed Verdict over here on the right side? Are those things we're going to want because of the 4-set? Because I don't actively change the way we're playing it. It's 3 points if we did want this for whatever reason, right? Abilities that spend Holy Power increase the damage of Blade of Justice. So yeah, the way my build's set up, I would need 3 more points somewhere. I could get 1 from up there and probably 2 from Judgment. So I guess I could do that without affecting my build too much for this current build that I have going. So maybe it wouldn't be that big of a deal if so. And that could be interesting, right? The problem is people are going to have is with Consecrate, rightfully so. You're going to have plenty of Consecrates going, so increasing the damage of your next one, isn't too bad. You will be pressing it with the Holy Power Nurse, and then Consecrated Blade will just become an even better talent to take. You're pretty much taking it anyways, because it's just a free Consecration. And then you pretty much always take Hallowed Ground over here. Consecration damage is increased by 10%. So you are getting consecrations, but it's so it's so rough because it requires them not to move. It also, like, in many ways makes you really want to take this talent over here. I have it anyways, but Consecrated Ground that reduces enemies' movement speed that are in your consecration, just so you can get an extra tick even if stuff is moving around. Obviously, it doesn't apply to bosses and stuff, but yeah, that's where we're at on that. I like I said, I calmed down a lot. I don't like how much they're putting into. Like, I want consecration builds to work and everything, and maybe they're just gonna end up tuning consecration and the abilities around it so well. I mean, I don't believe this when I'm saying it, right? But maybe they'll tune it so well that it'll just not feel as bad to have like a set bonus that has consecration baked into it. But again, the biggest issue is having stuff move around. I was just doing raid testing, and I will be doing a video about the raid testing. But these came out. I was just raid testing. One of the bosses, you kind of have to kite around the whole time. And, that's not to say there's never a good time to press Consecration, but, I guess you just would be pressing Crusader Strike a lot for that fight. It's also a multi-target fight, this Dragon Whelp fight, but I don't know. I'm definitely less angry about it once I saw what other classes were. Like, I guess I could show you guys some of the other specs, right? Like, let's look at like a Feral Druids, because I know theirs isn't that good. Rip and Ferocious Bite, damage increased by 5%. That's just, minor. Finishing moves grant 1% crit for each combo point. So, like, 5% crit for 5 seconds. That's not very exciting either, right? These are not, like, groundbreaking set bonus. So let's look at Havoc. Chaos Strike and Blade Dance, critically strike is increased by 5%. And their critical strike damage is increased by 10%. I mean, again, that's not exciting, but that's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty good. Chaos Strike and Blade Dance have a 20% chance to increase the damage you deal by 8%. So that's just like a conduit, really. Critical Strikes increase the chance, but this is kind of like a conduit you would have. That's very set up like a conduit that you would have like in Shadowlands. So the 4 set is nothing great. Let's look at Frost. Obliterate and Frost Scythe critical strike damage increased by a lot. Obliterate and Frost Scythe have a 15% chance to not consume Killing Machine. So again, these are just minor effects. And if you look through everyone else's, then it makes ours not as bad. I think the problem people are going to have with Ret is that it's the consecration thing. People are sick of that, right? When you see how simple everyone else's is, you're like, okay, the fact that these are simple aren't that bad. Maybe the 4 set will actually make us play like a Blade of Justice build, which could be cool. If it does a lot of damage, it can be cool to play a Blade of Justice build. 100% it can. So that could be fine. The 4 set could be fine. The 2 set, people are just not going to like the consecrate part. That's just reality of the situation. Obviously, I'll be playing with this and messing around with it once I get once it comes into the beta. It said the next build, I believe. What is this? I don't even know if it says it at the top here. I believe it said in the next build. If it lets me scroll up, probably this ad maybe. Yeah. Okay, another ad. Okay. We're excited. These next, I just saw it. Oh my gosh, Wowhead. Next beta build. I'm on a different browser here, so it's screwing me up. But yeah, so next beta build, that'll be up, and I'll be able to actually test it in game. But I did want to, put that out there, put my thoughts on it. These are very basic, and my first initial takeaways are that it's fine. It's playing into Consecrate versus Crusader Strike, which is probably in their heads thinking AoE versus single target, but reality is going to be boss standing still versus boss, or pole standing still versus pole moving. And then the 4 set sets up at least some interesting options going with a Blade of Justice build, which could be cool. I'm fine with that, right? Especially a single target Blade of Justice build. That could be interesting if it ends up being the case. So I'm definitely fine with the 4 set, and we'll see. We'll see how it actually affects stuff. We're so far away from tuning, like the actual game coming out. I know it's like 2 months away or whatever now, but that's still a long time away. But there's gonna be a lot of changes in between then. So, like I said, I will have a video, coming out probably not long after this one. Maybe I'll schedule a little bit after, so it's not like 2 videos released in a row. But I did do some raid testing, and I wanted to get my thoughts on how that felt post nerfs for Paladin, and how it felt to be in a raid as a Paladin, because I did have some takeaways there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Nothing to be excited about. but not much for really many people to be excited about because the set bonuses are so lackluster in general. Don't be too doom on it, when you compare it to everybody else's. But I totally understand if you just don't like it because the con's great. I get that 100%. So that's it for this one, guys. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. That helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.